Hello, welcome to the Reframing Mindset podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, welcome back to Reframe Mindset Podcast. My name is Constant Brooks. On this episode, I talk about one thing that I did. I'm doing this 9 to 5. I realized with the weeks, the various week and stuff like that, and I'm still here and going to the gym and doing that 60-minute treadmill. What I realized was doing a gym and doing 9 to 5 actually builds endurance, and that is actually something in this rough world. You need the ability to actually can endure it, endure stuff because what happens that I would just go through the week and then boom, I would just each episode was everything that I learned during the week and be like, oh, and you will say, okay, you just you just hear this small nugget of my experience and then be like, but you don't realize the hard you have to spend 8 hours for 7 days, try to reach there on time and all those stuff. You don't realize I'm putting how many work just to give you that week of knowledge. I'm like, oh, and be like, hmm. So what happened was that I'm putting all these endurance work. And same thing again, like for example, when I usually watch YouTube videos, and I talk about and you hear some of these YouTubers come and talk about burn out because what happens that they are putting the work to actually get these contents out often and often and when they actually talk about the process to actually get it out and be like, it's a lot of work and stuff. So it's like that's the thing where like for example YouTube was a great way for people to actually make money and stuff like that. But when they actually realize the work that they have to put in just to get the monetization, then to keep the monetization, and then yeah, just like how in my job, you have repercussions, on the media as well. It's like those stuff, those stuff can cause a lot of burnout. So if you don't really have a game plan where you don't take focus on your health more than actually trying to make this content for people and all this stuff and try to make money from it and stuff, you will not you will burn out and end up losing yourself. So you have to actually just be like you have to actually be smart. As I mentioned through the various 95 experience, I actually do smart things to actually make sure that a 95 lifestyle is not affecting my health because it's not a good lifestyle. But that's the thing about this evolution. Yeah, yeah, you're not going to be having the ability to do the perfect thing, but you have to just basically be smart about doing the unperfect thing until you find a better way, you know. And then when you find a better way, you'll be like, oh, okay, so that's how evolution works. And what I realized not doing this 9 to 5, when a 9 to 5 would be the most modern, advanced thing now at this point. And what doing those 8 hours of doing those work, you have to sit there the 8 hours, and depending on the day, it can be very long or it can be very short. Especially if you're doing things like night shift and day shift, you'll be like, oh my god, this could be very so long or so short, and you have to just do it. And what happens that when those long days, you're actually just going through it, and then it's feel like at some point it just feel like forever. It's not ending until you reach that last hour, or when you take that last break, you'll be like, oh my god, we're almost done already. We're almost done already. And then you forgot all about the morning when you actually feel like this is never gonna take, this is going never going to end, or in the night where you feel like this is never, like when I started the night shift for the first time, I'd be like, bro, when I usually leave at the start of the work, I'm just beginning, and bro, I'm hungry as hell. I'd be like, oh my gosh, but you push through and then boom, and then I end, and then boom, you be like, okay, I end at night, and then you just do it again and do it again and then just realize that, bro, you end months of nights, and be like, bro, I can't believe I actually did it. I can't believe I actually did it, and then boom, you do the same thing again. So I said 95 actually builds endurance, and that endurance can really translate to other stuff. But you have to really be smart to realize how to actually translate to other stuff, because even though I could indeed building these endurance, the stuff that I want to translate to as yet is not that applicable as yet. But me having the ability to say, okay, actually go through that, that can really that actually build some good rapport on your resume and such, and give you a lot of practice and experience to say, okay, if I was to say move up to a better job, that's how I went through the night shift and the day shift, and I know how to actually properly, effectively now maximize my health while doing these jobs. And that's where you can see some people actually can just manage these night shift stuff when I'm struggling, when I was just starting, experience. The same thing with the gym. I'm trying to do this 60-minute stuff now, and what happens is that it feels, when I'm doing the 60 minutes, it feels like it never going to end until boom, you reach the last minute and then it ends, and be like, okay, you did it. And why I want to do this 60 minutes treadmill exercise, because I want to burn as much calories as I can, because I want to do it once or twice per week. So just like you burn as much calories in that time, and then rest of the week you're just basically just building up calories and stuff, and then so over you have to do something like a 60-minute thing, so actually maybe try to burn off as much as you can, while the 9 to 5 lifestyle is building up as much as you can. So that's the paradox, or the two sides of the coin. 9 to 5 is building you up and building that form of endurance, and then the gym, you're trying to break it down and build something else, and that is building you a different type of endurance. So it's you're doing two types of training and stuff, and then boom, you just come home and be like, oh, you're done. So that's basically it for this episode. As I said, these life stuff. So that's basically for this episode. Thank you for listening. I look forward for the next episode. Mm.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
Technically, week 38 of the 9 to 5 experience, but nah, the episode will kind of be week 1. Now, as it's a new journey, I'm back in the training world again, but this time I'm actually doing something in my field. And this week was a good experience, because it it's one thing to imagine, but actually seeing it in real time to be like, okay, it bursts a lot of my bubble to say, okay, this is what it actually looks like. But in some certain sense, I was actually right in certain sense. So, I wasn't wrong. I wasn't fully right, but I wasn't wrong either. And so, but I'm actually, glad I got that first experience, just to give me a realistic view